Welcome to Chats with Chambers with your hosts Patrick Kirby and Sammy Bedell Mulhern. Each week we connect and learn from executives of chambers of commerce from across the country. These short episodes will share success stories, challenges, best practices, and tips and tricks to inspire you and provide resources for hitting your organizational goals. From recruiting new and retaining current members to finding new and creative revenue sources, you'll hear straight from those leading chambers and communities throughout the U.S. Chats with Chambers is proudly brought to you by the Nonprofit Bootcamp. Learn more and check out the show notes for episodes at nonprofitbootcamponline.com.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Chats with Chambers. I'm very excited. Again, this is such a great show in which I get to learn about different places throughout the country and different leaders who are chamber executives doing amazing things. We had a great one for you too. Andrea Stewart, she's the executive director of the Carbondale Chamber of Commerce in Colorado. Andrea, welcome to Chats with Chambers.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Very excited. So why don't we start off the way we start off with all of these, which is kind of give us a 5,000-foot view on the chamber itself in Carbondale, business, how are things going? You go, all the details.
Great. So I've been with the Carbondale Chamber since 2008 and was appointed executive director in 2012. We are home to over 440 businesses. And really, we're really committed to working together with our businesses and the community to provide leadership, education, support for our members in order to make Carbondale and the area a more vital place and very dynamic place to live, work, and play. So it's really been amazing over the years, kind of the ebbs and flows of we've been through the recession when I first started back in 2008 and then making it, our way through the pandemic. So we've really seen a lot of business progression and we're just really excited. I feel our businesses are back and ready to just hit the ground running.
Outstanding. I love that. All right. So without Googling anything, tell me something really interesting about Carbondale that I would not know or I would be super fascinated by that happens there.
Sure. So if you're looking at a Colorado map, we are between Glenwood Springs and Aspen. And what's really unique to Carbondale, we sit at the base of Mount Sopris, which the elevation is 12,953 feet. And what's so unique is that Mount Sopris has two peaks and they're within a foot of one another, which is pretty unique. So that's kind of our, claim of fame.
I love that. That sounds awesome. All right. Well, tell me a little bit about the business environment in Carbondale. What do we got going on there? What sort of, if we had to take a snapshot of business, what are we looking like?
Yes. So we have a lot of different industries that we represent within our community, definitely service industry, tourism and hospitality, also a lot of construction and, professional service as well, whether that be, legal, financial, engineering. We're pretty unique. Carbondale is a certified creative district, which is a program through the state of Colorado. And we're just so proud. Again, very vibrant. There's a lot of activity, a lot of happenings in and around the area. And actually the Carbondale Chamber, we're also home to Carbondale Tourism. So we have that entity within our umbrella as well. And we really work to promote responsible and sustainable tourism in and around the area. So again, we have a lot of outdoor recreation, gold medal waters, hiking, fishing, you name it. It's a good place to be.
Sounds pretty fantastic to me. All right, so let's talk about a big win. I know we don't like bragging about stuff. Hey, we're in flyover country. I know it way too well. But chambers like to do really cool things. Businesses like to do really cool things. What cool things have you done with your business community that we can brag about a little bit today?
Yes, thank you. So we have a program that we really kicked off back in 2020 called Love Local. And it's a very simple concept, but I think, at that time we kind of needed to reduce a lot of thinking and just really get back to basics. So Love Local is a big program that I'm really proud of. We partnered with a number of entities in our community and just really reminded businesses and the community alike, whether they were guests in our community or live there full time, and just love local, support local, be nice to one another. It was just such a fun campaign. And we're really taking that and kind of adding additional layers onto that so we can keep it really vital in the community. And then also, just really impressed with collaborations over the years, whether it be workforce or housing, and just watching all of that network really take place. And a lot of really cool things are happening from those communications and connections.
From that, and I love the local a bit. Is there a place? I mean, the Chamber's got to be the only place where that can be facilitated in that sort of amount of sort of reminders that were awesome. That's what I love most about that. Were there any sort of nuggets that you sort of drew from that campaign or currently draw from that campaign where you look back and you're like, wow, this business did this and we didn't even know about that, or this is really something that was intriguing, or people really seem to love this? Was there a sort of a moment where you're like, we got something here? What was that?
Yeah. So again, just really simple, but we did these 18-inch vinyl decals that we handed out to all of the businesses. Chamber members are not, at that point in time, we're like, we just, wanted to support all the businesses in our area. And so a lot of businesses still have those decals up. It was really cool to have people calling us and saying, hey, I love this idea. I got to get behind this. And then to watch again, those collaborations take place of like, oh, they're doing it, so I would love to do it. And it's, purchase something over here and bring your receipt and get, your discount over here. And it's just really cool to watch, again, as it was so difficult in 2020 and 2021, just watching businesses like really get behind one another, and whether that be like employee share or delivery services, and just watching it kind of happen before your eyes. It was a big takeaway. And just to know we had a really small part of that success was very rewarding.
Listen, I know it might have been small, but there can't be a giant forest fire without some sort of spark. And that sort of that thing is probably a bad thing with a lot of trees and forests and nature. But that was a bad analogy, but it still works because you were part of that. And that's what makes the chambers so invaluable to the business community, is that becomes the reason to join and the reason to be, a part of this, is that you don't want this is the FOMO of the highest order. I want to be a part of that. That's great. I love it. You could watch that in real time and so organically. That's awesome. Hey, it's not all sunshine and rainbows and puppy dogs and ice cream. I get that. What's the biggest challenge that you are facing in Carbondale, and kind of how are you overcoming that as a chamber?
Sure. So definitely we're seeing across the state and across the country is really workforce and housing. And those definitely come, hand in hand. We were seeing that before back in 2019. And then I feel the pandemic just really escalated that. And again, it's really unique to see before of some, entities that were like, we're good, or we don't need to touch that. Now it's like, oh my gosh, everybody has to get involved. And so we're seeing a lot of public-private partnerships, some great opportunities, some coalitions being formed, again, all because we love our community and we love our businesses and doing what we can to support that. So that's one, ongoing challenge, but it's also, an opportunity to really get those networks and partnerships in place.
Right. I love that. All right. You've been a part of the chamber since 2008, an executive since 2012, which means you have an extensive volume of knowledge on all things chamber. Is there a tip or a trick that you can give somebody who's maybe listening to this, who's newer, or maybe just looking for a fresh perspective on what's really working for your chamber, what's really worked well in the past, and things you can pass along to that next generation of leadership within the chambers nationwide?
Sure. So my background's communication, and this seems like a very simple answer, but I think what we're missing in a lot of our day-to-day, and again, everyone is so busy and there's all different things happening, but I think two things that are really important, boundaries. And I think the hardest boundary that I have is with myself to not overcommit, or, it's okay to say no, even if it's a passion project that you want to do. But I think listening is so important. And we kind of miss that, I think, with all of the screens and technology and just trying to get through that email list in the day. We find with our membership, again, we have a 92% retention rate. So I feel we have, a lot of support behind us. And just to, if a business has a question or they're not quite sure about something, I think it's so important to just pick up the phone or meet them face to face and have that conversation, just listen. And with that, maybe they're on the fence about renewing or joining at first, but once you can sit down and have that conversation with them and really, dive into all that we do and the networks that we're a part of, next thing you know, they're signing up for the 3-year commitment, or you've just helped them, introduce them to a lead that they've been trying to connect with. And I think, again, just listening and those boundaries are just so important. So those would be my big takeaways.
I love that. And again, as simple as it is to say that, it's super complex and complicated to do. So I love that. I appreciate that as a perspective. Okay, there's probably a lot of people who are looking to see what you guys are doing in Carbondale, but they might not know how to get a hold of you. So is there a place where we can go to find out all the goings-ons and experience kind of what you guys are doing, the exciting things you're accomplishing, and just kind of get a sneak preview of what's going on in Carbondale, Colorado? Where do we go?
Yes. So our website is carbondale.com. We're very fortunate to have that web address. So
Brilliant.
Please visit us at carbondale.com. And you can also find us on social media. We have Carbondale Chamber of Commerce on Facebook. And then on Instagram, we are at Carbondale.
Even easier. I love that. Andrea, thanks so much for hopping on with us and on Chats with Chambers. I love getting perspective on what you are doing and how that can help everybody else in a place of the country that might not even know where Carbondale was until they listen to this podcast. Appreciate what you do as a chamber leader for as long as you have been doing it as a chamber leader. Again, it's one of the reasons why we think that this is just it's a no-brainer to join. It's a no-brainer to be involved with, because you get to be a part of this whole organic, spark of brilliance that these chamber leaders are coming up with. So remember, hey, if you're listening to this, you don't have a membership locally, go get one. Andrea, thank you so much. We're going to put all the links in the show notes so people can kind of click on what you were chatting about and kind of how to get a hold of you. Most of all, thanks so much for being a guest here on Chats with Chambers.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening to Chats with Chambers. For more information about the chamber featured in this episode, or to check out show notes for links and resources, visit nonprofitbootcamponline.com/podcast. Hey, subscribe, give us a 5-star review if you liked what you heard, and if you are a chamber who would like to be a guest on this show, hey, email us, Patrick at dogoodbetterconsulting.com or Sammy at hnemarketingsolutions.com. Links in the show notes.